Okay, please find your seats so that we may start on time. Thank you. My topic this morning is calculation and socialism. And I want to start by bringing to your attention a very important article, probably the most important economics article written in the 20th century. And that's the article by Ludwig von Mises, which appeared in 1920 in German. Wasn't translated until 1934 into English. And it's called Economic Calculation in the Socialist Commonwealth. We have a copy of it as a pamphlet. Okay. And I highly recommend the epilogue by a modern Austrian economist. Sheds a lot of light on the article. But this article is important for two reasons. One, it completely destroyed the intellectual foundations of the case for central planning. Okay, nothing was left standing after this article. In fact, in this article, Mises answered a lot of criticisms that he got later on. He answered them in advance. But secondly, it also pointed out the nature and necessity of the price system. It finally gave an adequate explanation based on Menger's original analysis of price of just why we need the price system and what the role of the price system actually is in a market economy. Now Mises developed that further in later works, but he really did set it out for the first time. This whole idea that prices, real prices, are necessary for calculation, for figuring out costs, revenues, prices, profits, losses, and so on. So that's extremely important. So even if there really was no socialism, the article itself, as a piece of economic theory, is very important. And it's also very accessible. It's written in a very easy style, and it makes its points very directly. Mises is a very good writer. So let's start off with socialism as it developed in the early 19th century. It was developed by, most notably, two Frenchmen, the French, and yeah, thank you, Louis, and a guy from Wales who migrated to the United States. So we have Charles Fourier, Henri Saint-Simon, and Robert Owen. And they wrote in the first half or even first quarter of the 19th century. And basically, they were all crazy. Okay, now, Karl Marx even realized that they were crazy, as we'll see. And the way that Marx carried out his project of introducing socialism and promoting socialism was to basically ignore or push or to declare unscientific the utopian socialists. And Marx really had a point here. Now that's quite a disturbing image. That's Charles Fourier, the craziest of them. And his idea of socialism was to organize everybody into phalansteres, which it's based on an ancient Greek military formation, okay, rectangular military formation. And so he developed models of cities that were more or less looked like grand hotels, or they were organized like grand hotels. And he had very specific ideas about how humanity was going to interact in these various phalansteres. Each resident will be able to purchase commodities according to his or her taste and income. So there was still to be money. All residents would be a stockholder in the city. There would be collective production. People would produce things together. There wouldn't be competition. All meals would be shared in a communal kitchen. Okay, he had very specific ideas about this. And the dirty work would be shared. So, people would take turns taking out the garbage, cleaning out the pigsty, and the horse stables, and whatever else he had in mind. That's a drawing of it. Now, these guys they all liked symmetry. They thought symmetry should be everywhere. So this thing is very, very symmetrical, this sketch. Here's a model of it. here's the grim reality. That's near my house, actually. That's an abandoned fallen stair. A few were set up in the United States. Okay, it's pretty scary. So needless to say, all these plans failed. And at the same time, the classical economists showed that there were real problems, even though they hadn't developed Mises' critique of socialism at this point. So here are some of the things that Fourier said. This is a quote from a book on the history of economic thought by Bob Aber and Robert Eklund. And just look at that. So he's telling us, he has some secret source of knowledge. So he says that 19th century France went through 5 stages: confusion, savagery, patriotism, and barbarity. And now they were passing through the 5th stage where they were advancing. Okay? But there'll be 2 more stages. Now, how did he know this? God told him? How did he know this? Okay? All of these utopian socialists were Gnostics in some broad sense. Gnostic is someone who believes that he or she has a secret source of intuitive knowledge that no one else has, that somehow they're connected to the cosmos or something. So notice what he says here. The final stage would be a stage of utter bliss, and that would last for 8,000 years. Not 7,000, not 9,000, 8,000 years. Okay, so he knew that for certain. And then history would reverse itself, and you'd run back through all the stages and go back to savagery. Okay? Okay, so that's an idea of his thinking. Here's some other crazy things. So the stage of bliss, he called the stage of harmony. The 6 new moons would replace the one in existence. It gets better. There'll be a halo, which sort of shower dew down upon the earth, and it would circle the North Pole. The seas would turn to Kool-Aid or some kind of fruit juice. I wouldn't drink it. This is interesting, all violent or repulsive beasts would be replaced by their opposites. There'd be anti-lions, anti-whales, anti-bugs, and so on, okay? And you could ride lions, and roasted chickens would fly into your mouth. Well, you can find this. And there are still people who I found a book of his writings that was published in the late 70s or 80s and was used in a classroom. Okay, it was used as a classroom reading.
Berkeley?
Yeah, probably. Okay, and of course, the human lifespan would stretch to 144 years, and 5/6 of the time would be devoted to the unrestrained pursuit of sexual love. Now, all of these guys are, if you read them, most of them were infatuated with free love, okay? And they were all males, so the opposite, by the way, unfortunately, females get stuck with the term nymphomaniac or nymphomania. Well, there is a comparable male condition known as satyriasis and satyrs. They all seem to be that a satyr, right? They're all talking about free love and how everything would be great, and partners would be shared and so on. Okay, so that was an